Hello, Christopher. Welcome to our Q&A. Do you want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm not too good in front of a camera. My name's Chris, and I'm part of the upper management for Jacob and Sterling Properties.
Okay, so I've got 5 questions for you today. We're going to get right into it with the first one. So you have a degree in pharmacology. So what inspired you to start a career in property sourcing?
It's a good question. I think there was a period of time when I had finished uni, and my business partner Yao had also finished uni. He's got his degree in genetics. So you'd think we'd go down the traditional role of, working in a lab or a research institution, but we typically found a bit of an interest when Glasgow was having a housing crisis for students, particularly, where it was really difficult to find places to rent. And we had actually had one of our friends who was in property at the time say to us like, "Well, have you guys ever looked into that? Like, pretty good with numbers, we're pretty diligent when it comes to doing tasks and doing it well and on time." So he just floated the idea to us, and because you have a degree in something doesn't mean that everything about you revolves around that degree necessarily. So for us, that very much wasn't the case. So we decided to give it a try, and then a couple of years later, where we are now.
Here we are.
Yeah. So I guess things can catch you by surprise like that.
So question number 2 is, what key challenges have you faced in the industry and how did you overcome them?
A lot. But sorry, what do you mean by challenges? Do you mean like for the business or?
Yeah, for the business.
I'd say a lot of our biggest challenges came at the beginning.
Right.
We almost had no idea what we were doing at first. So
like most people.
Yeah, like most. You gotta get your training and whatnot. But yeah, we really struggled with like the concept of it. Like, so essentially I find a house for somebody else. They're like, and it's like, yeah, that's what you do. And it's like, why don't they do it themselves?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's a plethora of different reasons as to why somebody won't do it themselves. It's actually multiple different reasons. But then you realize you can specialize in doing it. So you can find a property, but you can routinely find very, very good properties. And there's a difference between the two, because one can change your life and then one can just keep you afloat for the time being. I think there's a stark contrast in that. So yeah, that's what we pride ourselves in doing.
So moving on from that point, actually, how do you identify the best investment opportunities for your clients?
It's actually interesting you ask. It depends. It always depends. So we don't sort of source in a very traditional way where it's like, oh, I'm looking in Birmingham. It's like, oh, you're looking in Birmingham, and then just throw a bunch of properties from Birmingham at you and hoping one sticks. A lot of people do that. If you go in the Facebook groups, you'll find that that's what other sources are doing, and we never thought that was effective. Maybe it comes from our background or just common sense in our opinion, but we would essentially have you jump on a phone call with us or a Google Meet, depends on which ones are more convenient for yourself. And then in that call, you'd either be speaking to myself or maybe Yao or one of the sales function, and we'd be speaking about what it is that you're trying to achieve with this investment in property, what you usually expect in your returns, and in the ideal world, what you'd be looking for in a property. Once you've answered all of those questions, we get a better understanding of what it is you're looking for. But that might not work for somebody else. So one of our current clients, she's essentially got an interest-only mortgage for quite a substantial amount. Now, somebody else who doesn't have that situation, you could be a cash buyer, or maybe you have a development team and you want to do flips. Like, the two don't coincide. There aren't, in our case, there is no one property that suits another person as well as it does for that specific person, because it's based around everything you've asked of us.
Yeah.
So a very bespoke and tailored approach.
More personal.
More personable, yeah.
So we're going to have a bit of a throwback moment. Question number 4 is, what was it like attending your first property viewing and what did you learn from the experience?
My first property viewing was a mess, to be honest. We had just started, and me and Yao work in a way where it's like he's in Glasgow and then I'm in London.
Okay.
And then we now have people who are dotted in between, so the entirety of the UK can be covered now. But at the time, it was just London and Glasgow, and the surrounding area of London as well. So it was in Kent, Ashford, and
I need the details.
okay. But, as long as this gets engagement, I don't mind. But, yeah, so we had gone there, and I was on the phone with the investor, and he was like, "Look, I can't make it, but can you take a video?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I can take a video. It's easy." So yeah, I meet with the estate agent, way too overdressed, by the way.
At least you look good.
Yeah. I mean, So yeah, I go like that and make our introductions, and he takes me around the property, and for a little while he just lets me explore and do my own thing. So I said I want to get some video, so I record, but when I was in the house, I wasn't even impressed with it because he wanted to do work on the house, which is fine, but from looking at the house, you could kind of tell that it was going to be way out of his budget. There was like wiring and it's just the electricals.
Yeah.
It's just a whole bunch of stuff. The toilet wouldn't flush.
Wow.
Like he wanted to do minimal amounts of work, and I was just like, I know this guy's not going to be very happy with this. So it was a bit of like a tail between the legs moment. Well, this is the famed pink room. It's very pink. But I don't know how happy y'all will be with me sharing that with you guys.
I will.
Yeah, and the investor was understandably not very impressed, which is fair enough. But we charge on completion, so if you're not happy with that, there's no risk to you.
Is there anything that you kind of took away from that moment?
Yeah. Yes. One thing I took away is first of all, well done. Like, to myself, it was, you went out there. There's only so much training you can do. You're still gonna go out there for the first time and be so nervous. Mm-hmm. And people gonna know that. And I think it's not a bad idea to lean into that sort of element. Maybe call it out.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit nervous. This is my first ever deal that I'm putting through for somebody, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will respect that level of transparency as opposed to, you trying to act like a big shot. I don't think you make it. Yeah, I don't know how well that works. It does work well enough, but I don't think, with your clients, you should always be transparent with them.
They can trust you more.
They should be able to. You should be able to establish that personable relationship. So, next one went a lot better anyway. So,
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one is, how do you see the property market evolving in the next few years, and what trends should investors watch out for?
That's a good question. Well, notably, Labour's taken to power now in the UK. Mm-hmm. I expect interest rates to rise. So, that might lead to a few people saying, I should be really careful in investing now. I'm not really sure about, pulling out on mortgages and stuff like that. Yeah. Cash buy is always going to be fine. But I think to that end, a lot of people will be a bit more hesitant. But in my opinion, I think there is no golden opportunity to get into the market. I think so long as you have the strategy, the numbers work at the time, you should go for it. I don't think you should be waiting and holding it off because, it's the same sort of thing that will stop people from investing in the stock exchange or any sort of other financial instruments. It's like, oh, I'm waiting for the right time. That right time will come and pass you by so many times, many different times, because you'll find another reason as to why you shouldn't invest. It's the same reason why you haven't invested yet yourself.
Yeah.
So to investors, I would say that, a lot of you do have a game plan, and I think what you should be doing is evolving that game plan as opposed to trying to wait for the right moment. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, should be waiting forever.
Yeah, well, possibly. I don't like speaking in absolutes.
Okay, well, that's all of the questions. Thank you very much for joining me.